You know, in the world of port operations, it's all about time, right? Every second counts. We're always talking about crane moves per hour, vessel turnaround. That's how we measure success. And yeah, we spend a ton of energy trying to prevent the big, headline-grabbing disasters. But what if the real problem is something we're not even looking for?
What if the biggest threat to our productivity isn't some giant, catastrophic failure? What if it's actually a whole bunch of tiny, nagging problems that just keep happening? The kind of things you barely even notice. We call them silent eroders, and they are quietly, relentlessly eating away at our efficiency. And trust me, they add up.
All right, let's dive in. First up, we're talking about the equipment itself, the hardware. This is where you find those sneaky little parts, or the ones that go missing, that can stop a massive, multi-million-dollar operation dead in its tracks.
Okay, let's talk about the humble twist lock. Seems like a small thing, right? But it's absolutely crucial for grabbing containers. So what happens when one of them jams up? Well, everything stops. The whole crane move is just frozen. And in a really bad situation, you've got to do what's called hot work. Yep, that means literally cutting the thing off with a torch. It's slow, it's expensive, and it's a huge safety headache.
But here's the thing, the fix is actually pretty simple. It's all about being prepared. We're talking regular sorting and lubrication before the ship even shows up, making sure you've got manual unlocking tools right there ready to go. And maybe most important, having the lashing crew give those locks a quick once-over before the crane even gets close. Super simple checks that can prevent a massive, time-sucking bottleneck.
All right, here's another classic, missing lashing gear. You know, a ship needs very specific stuff to tie down containers safely, like those long steel bars. So what happens when that gear is just not there, or it's busted, or it's the wrong size? You guessed it, everything pauses. The lashing gangs are just standing around, waiting. And every single minute they're idle, you're just bleeding productive time.
And you're going to see a theme here. The solution is all about good process and preparation. It means actually enforcing those pre-arrival checklists, making sure there's spare gear on the vessel, and having a solid way to talk to the terminal if you need something replaced. But that last point, that's the big one. It's about building a culture where getting the gear right is a top priority, not just something you think about at the last minute.
Okay, so we've talked about physical stuff. Now let's shift gears. Let's talk about problems that aren't about broken parts, but bad information. This is all about what happens when the plan just doesn't match up with what's actually happening on the quay.
Check this out. This is a huge one for both safety and efficiency. So picture this. The plan says a stack of containers weighs 96 tons. No problem, that's within the crane's limit. But the reality? It's actually 105 tons. Finding that out in the middle of a lift is a nightmare. It's not just a massive safety risk, it means you have to stop everything, replan the whole move, and shuffle containers around. All of that is just wasted time.
And here's the kicker. This is totally preventable. It all boils down to being diligent with your data. That means requiring an accurate verified gross mass, or VGM, from the shipper. That's non-negotiable. It means planners need the latest and greatest vessel data. And crucially, you have to verify all that information before you even think about moving that first box.
Now for a really specific and really costly planning failure. Let's talk about reefers, refrigerated containers. There's this thing called hot stuffing. It's exactly what it sounds like. A shipper loads warm cargo into a reefer, basically to save a few bucks on their own electricity bill. But then that warm container shows up at the port, and the vessel crew totally correctly says, no way, we're not loading that. So now you've got a standoff, a delay, and every other reefer operation gets backed up because of it.
So how do you fix this? It's simple, really. You have to set and enforce really clear standards. That means strict pre-cooling rules for shippers. You check the temperature logs the second it arrives. And you don't even think about giving it the green light until that reefer is at the right temperature. Period. It gets everyone on the same page and stops those expensive arguments from ever happening.
All right, for our last category, we're going a little deeper. These eroders aren't in the equipment or the plan. They're baked into the system itself. We're talking about processes, power grids, and yeah, even plain old paperwork.
A power outage is a perfect example of this. You might think, oh, the backup generators will kick in, and they do. But those giant ship-to-shore cranes, they don't just flick back on. No, they have to go through a whole safety reboot sequence, run diagnostics, get synchronized. And as you can see, that whole process can easily eat up 30 to 60 minutes of pure downtime for every single crane.
But that recovery time, it's not set in stone. You can shrink it, and shrink it a lot. If you develop fast restart procedures and actually practice them with regular drills, you can turn a 45-minute delay into a 15-minute one. Now, you multiply that time saved across a whole vessel call, you're talking about getting hundreds of extra moves done.
Okay, this next one might be the most maddening of all of them. Picture it, a ship's crane is ready to go. It's working perfectly, but it's just sitting there, doing nothing. Why? Because the one person who has to sign off on its use is busy, or on a break, or who knows where. So work grinds to a halt, not because of a broken part, but because of paperwork. It's a pure bottleneck caused by red tape.
And the fix is so simple. It's just good procedure. You set up clear communication rules ahead of time. You make sure there are backup officers who also have the authority to say go. It's all about building a little redundancy into the system, so you're never ever held hostage by one person's schedule.
Now, let's talk about something that starts small but blows up into a massive problem: a leaking container. Doesn't matter what's inside, chemicals, oil, you name it. A leak means an immediate, full stop. Everything pauses for health, safety, and environmental checks. That container has to be moved somewhere safe, inspected, reported, and that whole process can shut down a huge part of the terminal for hours. Look, you can't always prevent a leak from happening, but you can absolutely control how fast you respond. And that comes down to being proactive. Doing a quick visual check before you lift the box. Having spill kits and drip trays right there on the quay, ready to go, not locked up in some warehouse halfway across the terminal. Acting fast is what keeps a small problem from becoming a giant one.
So, we've walked through a bunch of these, right? Jammed locks, bad data, waiting on a signature. On their own, each one feels like a small, frustrating annoyance. But they don't happen on their own. Let's look at the real cost.
Because when you start adding them all up over the entire time a single ship is in port, you're not talking about a few minutes of delay anymore. You are talking about hours. Hours of lost productivity. That's hours a crane is idle, hours a berth is tied up, and hours a vessel isn't on its way to the next port.
And that lost time, it creates a massive ripple effect. It means higher costs. It means slower turnarounds for the ships. It starts to damage your port's reputation for being reliable. And in today's world, where the global supply chain is so interconnected, these little delays in one port can throw off the entire global schedule. This is why every single minute counts. So all of this really points to a big shift in how we need to think about what operational excellence really means. It's not just about preventing that one big disaster, it's about something much more detailed. Because when you get right down to it, the most competitive ports in the world, the best ones, they aren't just the ones with the fanciest cranes. They're the ones who have absolutely mastered the art of hunting down and eliminating these little hidden delays. They win in the margins. They win by sweating the 1,000 tiny details that everyone else just overlooks.
So that leaves us with one big question to think about. How many of these silent eroders are hiding in plain sight in your operations? Because finding them and getting rid of them for good, well, that's the real secret to winning.
If you found this useful, subscribe to AMS Ports and Logistics for more insights into Africa's port and shipping industry.